Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. It is my favorite day of the month. And if you're here, it may be your favorite day of the month. But it is the day that we talk about the new releases coming out next month. This is the day that my wallet cries. So I am so excited. I was actually looking through some of these, pulling them up on Goodreads. And I think I have a pretty good mix this month of things. Like last month was so young adult heavy, but this month I feel like it's still pretty young adult heavy. It's always young adult heavy, but there's definitely some different genres worked in through here. So I'm pretty excited to talk about these books. I have not looked into them in depth, so some of them are going to be a surprise again to me because I don't remember some of the stuff that I've been adding over the past 2 months. So we are going to be starting on April 4th, which is the first day that we're having some new releases for April, and we've got quite a few coming out on the 4th. We have got 9 coming out on the 4th, which is quite a few that I'm excited about. And this one, everyone's really excited about, and I think this may be a Book of the Month release. It is called Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. It already has 964 ratings with a 4.16, so I think that sounds pretty good already, actually. And the little clip says, a comedy writer thinks she's sworn off love until a dreamily handsome pop star flips the script on all of her assumptions. Romantic Comedy is a hilarious, observant, and deeply tender novel from the New York Times bestselling author Curtis Sittenfeld. We're following our main character, Sally, who is a sketch writer for a late-night live comedy show. Basically, SNL is what it sounds like. And she has abandoned the search for love, settling for occasional hookups, career success, and a close relationship with her stepfather. I mean, that sounds pretty healthy, at least that side of things. So it seems to be following like one of her sketches is what starts everything, is she points out the fact that funny, talented, average-looking men end up dating gorgeous, glamorous actresses or just pretty women, and how the reverse is unlikely to happen. It's unlikely that a funny, successful, average-looking woman would end up with a very handsome man, and then cue the very handsome man. So I think this sounds so good. I think this is a very interesting take on a romance, so I definitely have my eye on this one. And I know a lot of people are really excited about this one. Okay, next one coming out on April 4th is called Before We Were Innocent by Ella Berman. 81 ratings, 4.20. I love the cover of this one. It's very, I don't know, I'm getting like Taylor Jenkins Reid vibes from the cover of this one for some reason. This says a summer in Greece for 3 best friends ends in the unthinkable when only 2 return home in this new novel from Ella Berman. So, we flash back to 10 years ago. Bess and Joni are cleared of having any involvement in their friend Evangeline's death, but that doesn't stop the media from ripping apart their teenage lives like vultures. One of the girls becomes a motivational speaker later on, and then the other girl basically decides to hide away from the media. So they kind of take the 2 like opposite ends of the spectrum way to deal with what happened to them. Except now one of the girls is tangled up in a crime that is eerily similar to the one night in Greece. So we're trying to figure out what is exactly going on, and she ropes in the girl who has tried to disappear, basically. So this sounds really, really cool. It is listed as a mystery thriller, fiction, contemporary, etc. So I'm really curious if it's going to be more contemporary or it's going to be more on the mystery side. So I'm really excited about this one. Again, another one I definitely have my eyes on. The next one coming out on April 4th is called Divine Rivals. This is actually coming in 2 separate book boxes, so this is definitely a big release. It already has 777 ratings with a 4.54, and it's by Rebecca Ross. I really like Rebecca Ross's writing. This is listed as a young adult historical fiction romance fantasy. So lots of things there. And the little blurb is, no god, no creature, no war can come between them. 2 young rival journalists find love through a magical connection. Their fate depends on their facing the depths of hell together. After centuries of sleep, the gods are warring again. So it has to do with lots of gods. Definitely big, big fantasy. This is going to be a series. It says it's the first in the new series called Letters of Enchantment, which that sounds like a really cool series. And it's definitely going to be romance heavy. We're following our main character, Iris, who is 18 years old, so a little bit on the older side of young adult. And one of her letters that she wrote for her column falls into the hands of Roman, who is at a rival paper, and an unlikely magical connection forms. So I have no idea what this really is about. It says they're sucked into the middle of a mystical war. So I don't know. There's a lot going on in this. Again, very excited. I've liked every Rebecca Ross that I've read, like loved. So I'm very excited to also read this one. Okay, the next one coming out, again, it has one of my favorite covers. I love this cover. It is called Spellbound by F.T. Lukens, 229 ratings, 4.37. Two rival apprentice sorcerers must team up to save their teachers and protect their own magic in this lively young adult romantic adventure. For the New York Times bestselling author of In Deeper Waters and So This Is Ever After. Those are actually two books that are on my want to read list. I just haven't gotten to them yet. So maybe I'll get to this one first. I don't know which one I'm going to read first, but this one sounds really good. It's listed as fantasy, LGBT, young adult, romance, queer. So that sounds fantastic. And it's following one of our main characters, Edison, who looks like he's going to be working for a call center for a magical emergencies, which sounds actually kind of super fun as an idea for like a backdrop of a story. And he's got like some weird backstory where he's trying to get into this like thing because he's trying to solve something from his past, something like that. And obviously there's going to be romance in it with the other main character whose name is Sun, the grump, like S-U-N, the grumpy and annoyingly cute apprentice to one of the rival colleagues. So interesting. So this sounds really cute. It sounds cute. It sounds fun. Like I said, don't know which one I'm going to read first because they're like all the books by this author sound really, really neat. So I definitely want to start reading like their books. Okay, the next one coming out on April 4th is called The Last Heir to the Blackwood Library by Hester Fox. It has 136 ratings with a 3.74. In post-World War I England, a young woman inherits a mysterious library and must entangle its powerful secrets. So I feel like you've got to read this as a book lover. If it takes place in a library, you've got to at least try it. But it says it's adult gothic fantasy historical fiction, so that's interesting. It's definitely got some gothic vibes because it says our main character, Ivy, who's 23 years old, becomes Lady Hayworth, who is the owner of a sprawling estate on the Yorkshire moors. I mean, that's pretty gothic to me. And when she finds the library, she also seems to feel a presence there. And rumors are swirling in the village about the Abbey's previous owner and ghosts and curses, etc. So I think this sounds really, really good, and I'm excited for this one. The thing is, I'm excited about most of these books that I pick. I do throw in some that I know people are really excited about that I may not be, but for the most part, I'm picking stuff that I'm pretty excited about. Okay, this next one is also going to be in some book boxes. This is a really big release, and it is Silver in the Bone by Alexandra Bracken. It has 294 ratings with a 4.1, and I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about Alexandra Bracken because I think, what did she come out with Lore last year, and it was a huge release and people were very torn whether they liked it or not. So I am curious how this one is going to do. This is going to be a series opener inspired by Arthurian legend and fueled by love, revenge, and pure adrenaline. I have not had much success with Arthurian legend retellings, actually, so I'm a little bit suspicious. But I was in the smaller camp that I actually liked Lore, so I do have my hopes a little bit high for this one. This is going to be a young adult fantasy retelling mythology, etc. Those are the little tags. I love looking at the tags because sometimes the tags are wild. Looks like our main character is Tamsin, and she is a hollower, which is a mortal with no magical talent. And her goal in life is to basically keep her brother Cabell alive. 10 years later, after some issues happen, rumors are swirling that her guardian vanished with a powerful ring from Arthurian legend. And then there's a rival called Emrys, and apparently the ring could free Cabell from some curse that threatens both of them. I don't know. I feel like it's I can't really tell what the book is about from the plot of this. So we're just gonna have to see when I read it, what it's actually about. But again, I'm excited. I liked her last book, so I have some high hopes for this one. Okay, the next one coming out is going to be a young adult historical fiction romance called Queen Bee by Amali Howard, and it has 165 ratings with a 4.22. And this definitely seems like it might be a smaller release. There's really not that much like listed for what it's about, but it says a teen girl seeking retribution against the backstabbing former best friend finds her plans slightly derailed once she catches the eye of a familiar, handsome Marquess. Best-selling author Amalie Howard delivers a delightful, anti-historical Regency-era romp that's Bridgerton meets the Count of Monte Cristo. So, whatever that means. I always love Regency romance things. I'm curious what it means by anti-historical. That's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to read that basically just to see what that exactly means. I wonder if they don't like speak in like the proper dialect or wear proper like clothes for the era. I don't know. That's interesting though. The next one coming out on April 4th. Yeah, it's a lot more young adult, like I said. It's always so much young adult. I feel like young adult writers are just like putting stuff out. This one is Not Here to Stay Friends by Caitlin Hill. There are 231 ratings, 4.14. This is a friends to lovers spin on The Bachelor. So friends to lovers makes me like, I don't like friends to lovers kind of things. I'm an enemies to lovers kind of person, or strangers to lovers. That sounds funny when you say it like that, but I just don't like long-term friendships becoming most of the time. But The Bachelor part, I love books that are like The Bachelor. So I'm curious how it's going to do it in a young adult setting. But it is two childhood best friends reuniting to spend the summer in LA after 5 years apart, but when they both get involved with a teen reality dating show, their lives take an unexpected turn for the unreal. That was a little bit better because they've at least had 5 years apart, so they might not be familiar with each other anymore. So that seems more on par with something I would be okay with reading, like be more up my alley reading. And the last one coming out on April 4th is called Blood Debts. I actually saw this in the store already today. Like I was at Barnes & Noble today and I saw this. This is by Terry J. Benton Walker. It has 471 ratings with a 3.91. And this says it's going to be a fantasy young adult LGBT mystery. 30 years ago, a young woman was murdered, a family was lynched, and New Orleans saw the greatest magical massacre in its history. In the days that followed, a throne was stolen from a queen. Then, on the anniversary of these brutal events, our characters Clement and Christina Trudeau, the 16-year-old twin heirs to the powerful magical dethroned family, are mourning their father and caring for their sick mother, until by chance they discover their mother isn't sick, she's cursed. Cursed by someone on the very magic council their family used to rule, someone who will come for them next. That sounds pretty cool. So our main character, Christina, once was a talented and dedicated practitioner of generational magic, has given up magic. And then our other main character, Clement, magic is his lifeline, a distraction from his anger and pain. So this sounds interesting. I'm definitely curious where it's going to go. I'm kind of sad that I didn't pick this up when I saw it. I didn't realize this was a new release. So it's kind of like hidden in the bookshelves because sometimes they put out books early and they just kind of like stick them in there. So now I'm sad I didn't like stop and look at it more. So anyway, that is coming out on April 4th. And that is it for our April 4th books. So now we are moving along to our April 11th books. And April 11th has one of the books that I am most excited about that is coming out this month. We're going to talk about that one first because it is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I loved Part of Your World so much. And I just love Abby Jimenez. Like her TikTok is so funny with Stuntman Mike and Tess. I absolutely love it. So I cannot wait for this next one to come out. I definitely feel like this wasn't as much up my like alley as her other book was, but I'm definitely still gonna read it because I love it was probably one of my favorite books of last year. So I have very, very high hopes for this one. And it looks like there's a dog in it, which doesn't surprise me. So Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez has 2,688 ratings with a 4.73. That may be the highest rating I've ever seen on Goodreads, actually. It's a novel of terrible first impressions, hilarious second chances, and the joy in finding your perfect match. Our main character is Dr. Brianna Ortiz, and her life is seriously flatlining. Her divorce is just about finalized, her brother's running out of time to find a kidney donor, and that promotion she wants, that's probably going to to the new man doctor who's already registering 87 on Brianna's pain in my ass scale. But just when all systems are set to hate, Dr. Jacob Maddox completely flips the game by sending Brianna a letter. It's a really good letter, like the kind that proves that Jacob isn't actually Satan. So it just, even the synopsis, which you can clearly like tell is written by her, It's just gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. I'm gonna be at the store like the second this comes out, unless it's could be a book of the month. Could be a book of the month choice. In that case, I definitely will be picking this one up if it's a book of the month choice, because Part of Your World was, so could be. Okay, the next one coming out, I also just saw in stores. It's called The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. It has 215 ratings with a 4.05. A woman discovers the father of the child she is nannying may be her biggest only fan in the steamy contemporary romance by Lana Ferguson. I think this sounds really fun. Okay, so our main character is Cassie Evans, and she just lost her job and she is on the brink of eviction, and she needs to decide between two things: get a new job or fire up her long untouched OnlyFans account. But she decides she can't really do either of them, but luckily a live-in nanny position pops up, and her employer is Aiden Reed, who is an executive chef, and obviously she's attracted to him, and you find out that he actually knows who she is. So it's going to be interesting. This needs to be done very carefully so it doesn't come off as creepy. That is my one qualm with this. I feel like this could come off as stalkerish on his part, and it's not cute. So we're going to see about this one. I think it sounds really, really cute. And I will definitely be giving it a shot because it sounds really great. And it sounds like it could be funny. I hope it's on the funnier side. This next one looks so good. This is up my alley. It's a young adult mystery thriller contemporary thing. Crime. It looks really good, and I hope it's done well. It is called The Sharp Edge of Silence by Cameron Kelly Rosenblum, and it has 73 ratings with a 4.25. This one was under my radar. I did not see this one until I was doing my last ditch effort thing 2 days ago of super deep dives to see if I missed anything that was interesting, and this actually popped up. It says it is tradition meets people like us in this timely and haunting young adult contemporary standalone that tackles the contagious nature of toxic masculinity at an elite New England boarding school, clinging to its past in the sexual assault that changes everything. So this is a super prestigious boarding school for rich people. They have 150 years of traditions, and there's ceremonies, athletic rivalries, secret societies, pranks taken too far. But navigating it all will make Charlotte a perfect straight-A student, Max, scholarship kid in STEM whiz, and Quinn, artist dreamer Lycroft legacy, question all they thought they knew about themselves and the school, especially when Quinn's sexual assault becomes public and implicates one of the top-tier athletes on campus. This sounds like it could be done so well. So I am definitely going to be watching for this one, and I will be reading this one to see how they deal with such sensitive, important topics. So I'm very excited about that one. And the next one coming out is a Megan Miranda. It is The Only Survivors. It has 501 ratings with a 3.84. And is a mystery about a group of former classmates who reunite to mark the 10th anniversary of a tragic accident, only to have one of the survivors disappear, casting fear and suspicion on the original tragedy. 7 hours in the past, 7 days in the present, 7 survivors remaining. Who would you save? So that's all I'm going to say about that one, because I like going into Megan Miranda books as blind as possible because they're just fun. They're just fun, fast mystery thrillers. So I'm very excited to pick this one up whenever I get to it. And a big novella that a lot of people have been waiting for by Fonda Lee is Untethered Sky. It has 275 ratings with a 4.26. It is an epic fantasy fable about the pursuit of obsession at all costs. A lot of people are talking about this one. This sounds really cool. It is slated as fantasy, science fiction, adult, a bunch of different stuff. I don't know what it actually is, but it sounds cool. I have not actually read The Jade Legacy, but it is on my list to read. So I think I'll start with this one first, since it is just a novella. It would be really easy to read. Our main character, Esther's family, was torn apart when a manticore killed her mother and baby brother, leaving her with nothing but her father's painful silence and a single overwhelming need to kill the monsters that took her family. Gonna stop there. I feel like that is enough to get a good idea of what this is about. Because it's a novella, I don't like reading a lot into the book because it can ruin things sometimes. They try to almost tell you too much in it to get you interested in actually reading it, because novellas are definitely not read as much, I feel like, as longer books. So they definitely try to suck you in more, and that's all I need right there. That's all I need. So that sounds really cool. This cover stunning. I love this cover. Okay, the next one coming out on April 11th is another young adult. It's slated as a young adult mystery, LGBT, lesbian, queer, contemporary mystery thriller. So a lot of stuff going on. It is called Bianca Torre is Afraid of Everything by Justine Pucella Winans, and it's got 72 ratings with a 4.42. It is a sardonic and campy young adult thriller. An anxious, introverted, non-binary teen birder somehow finds themselves solving a murder mystery with their neighbor, fellow anime lover, all while falling for a cute girl from their birding group and trying not to get murdered. Yeah, so there's a lot going on in this, but at the same time, number one, the cover is stunning. The cover is so pretty. And I just love young adult mystery kind of things going on. I think this could be really interesting. And I feel like this is one that not a lot of people know about. This was definitely on one of my deep dive searches. And then the last one coming out on April 11th is Some Desperate Glory by Emily Tesh. It has 199 ratings, and it is a 4.24 so far. It says it's science fiction, LGBT, queer, adult, lesbian, fantasy fiction. And it says, while we live, the enemy shall fear us. Our main character's name is Kier, and she is trained for the day that she can avenge the murder of planet Earth. Oh, didn't see that coming. Raised in the bowels of Gaia Station alongside the last scraps of humanity, she readies herself to face the wisdom, the all-powerful, reality-shaping weapon that gave the Majota their victory over humanity. So, kind of post-apocalyptic space science fiction thing going on. So, it says a space opera as well. So I'm always looking out for more science fiction to read, and I really liked this cover, so yeah, it sounds really cool. Okay, we are moving on to, we have one coming out on the 13th, which is, again, a weird date to come out. It's a huge release. I think this is coming in a book box, too. This is called Homecoming by Kate Morton, and this is a historical fiction mystery. So that sounds pretty cool. And the book opens up in 1959, where a murder has been discovered, and then the book picks up 60 years later with our main character, Jess, who's a journalist in search of a story, and obviously this is going to be researching all these things. So, again, sounds pretty cool. The backdrop is Australia, which is neat. I haven't read a ton of books where, like, the backdrop is Australia, so that could be really cool. I know that's a really big release, and I'm excited for that one. So now we are moving on to the 18th. I don't have nearly as many for the 18th. I think I have 4. Yeah, I've got 4. And the first one we're going to be talking about is called Sisters of the Lost Nation by Nick Medina. And you're following a young native girl's hunt for answers about the women mysteriously disappearing from her tribe's reservation that leads her to delve into the myths and stories of her people, all while being haunted herself in this atmospheric and stunningly poignant debut. That sounds cool. Oh, and it has 71 ratings with a 4.14 so far. Really cool cover. It says it's a horror thriller mystery. So I'm very interested in this, if this is adult or young adult, because it does say a young girl, but it's not listed as young adult. So my assumption is this is going to be an adult release. But it sounds really cool, and it's got apparently some fantasy aspects possibly in this one. So I think it's going to be interesting seeing what exactly is going on with this one. So this may be a pretty big release in the horror world if people catch wind of it. The next one is another horror, actually. It's called The Haunting of Alejandra by V. Castro. 362 ratings with a 3.67. Again, because it's a horror, that's not really that surprising that ratings are low, because a lot of times ratings are low for horror. A woman is haunted by the Mexican folk demon La Llorona as she unravels the dark secrets of her family history in this ravishing and provocative horror novel. Again, that's all I'm going to say about that one, because I feel like horror you should definitely go into as blind as possible. And I'm just excited that it's a book about La Llorona, because I've always wanted to read one about that, but I've always been too scared to. So this sounds like it could be really cool. Like I said, this is horror, fiction, fantasy, retelling, mythology. It says historical fiction even a little bit, so that's interesting. But this sounds really cool. I really, really like this cover as well, so be on the lookout for this one. The The next one coming out, I thought was a young adult, but it looks like it's an adult book, and it's a horror thriller mystery. It is Games for Dead Girls by Jen Williams. It has 110 ratings with a 3.58. And it says, in the vein of Jennifer Hillier and Lisa Jewell, Jen Williams melds grisly urban legends and macabre secrets in a haunting and propulsive read that will linger long after the last page. When Charlie was 11, she created a monster. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. I don't like reading a lot about horror. It just sounds really cool. It sounds so cool. I'm excited to get more thriller horrors compared to just like brutal horrors, because I don't do well with like just like monster horrors. This, like, the couple horrors that I've talked about so far seem more on the thriller side of horror, which I feel like a lot of people don't like, so I don't know. I don't know how my horror tastes go, really. So okay, and the last one coming out on April 18th, I almost said August, is A Hunger of Thorns. It is going to be the first in a series called A Hunger of Thorns, and it is by Lily Wilkinson, and it has 134 ratings with a 4.01. It says it's a fantasy young adult, has witches, paranormal magic. Maud is the daughter of witches. She spent her childhood running wild with her best friend Odette, weaving stories of girls who slay dragons and save princess. Then Maud grew up and lost her magic and her best friend. So it has to do with some sort of magic. That's pretty much all that I can tell what it's about. But anything that like lists witches and magic is probably going to be on my radar to read. So we'll see if I end up getting to this one. That was everything on the 18th. And we are on to our last couple of books. I do have a little bit more for the 25th compared to the 18th, but there's some really good stuff coming out. I definitely had more horror on here than I normally do. I specifically was trying to find more horror because I feel like I was missing out on that the last couple of months. I got a few every month, but nothing super exciting. The first one coming out is called The Last Word by Taylor Adams. A lot of people are suspicious because No Exit was amazing, and then a lot of people didn't like Hairpin Bridge. I have it upstairs, I just haven't read it yet. It has 248 ratings with a 4.28, so that's promising so far. And it's got a feel of misery about it. It says, after posting a negative book review, a woman living in a remote location begins to wonder if the author is a little touchy or very, very dangerous in this pulse-pounding novel of psychological suspense and terror from the critically acclaimed author of No Exit and Hairpin Bridge. So it's like reverse misery almost, it seems like, and I think this sounds really good. This sounds like something I would definitely absolutely love to read, so I will be looking out for this one. Next one I added for you guys. The next one I added for you guys, because this is a huge release. It is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I have not read Emily Henry. I have 2 of her books, and I actually am planning a vlog where I read both of them. I just haven't decided when I'm going to do it. This has a 4.48 with 2,200 ratings. That's not surprising. There's probably a lot of arcs out for this book. It says this one is going to be about a couple who broke up months ago make a pact to pretend to still be together for their annual week-long vacation with their best friends in this glittering and wise new novel from Emily Henry. So I don't know how I feel about this one. I don't know, because second chance romances are definitely not my cup of tea, so I'm not super excited about this one. So I'm definitely going to see how people, like, as it comes out, more ratings come in, see what happens. The next one was in one of my deep dives. It is called Mastering the Art of French Murder, and it is the first in a mystery historical fiction series called An American in Paris #1, and it is by Colleen Cambridge. It has 244 ratings with a 4.08. And it says it's for fans of Jacqueline Winspear, Mary Benedict, Nita Prose, and of course Julia Child will adore this magnifique new mystery set in Paris and starring Julia Child's fictional best friend, confidant, and fellow American from the acclaimed author of Murder at Malouin Hall. This delightful new book provides a fresh perspective on the iconic chef's years in post-World War II Paris. But it says it's going to be historical fiction mystery thriller, so I'm a little, like, confused what exactly this is going to be about. But because it said, like, possibly cozy mystery, probably gonna read it. I really like cozy mysteries. Okay, the next one is a big one that people are really excited about. This is a young adult horror and it is called This Delicious Death by Kayla Cottingham. It has 232 ratings with a 3.90, and it is 4 best friends, 1 music festival, and a cooler filled with human organs. The summer is about to get gory. And it says for fans of Jennifer's Body. This is going to be a ridiculous book, and I am so excited for it. I love the cover. I will be reading this literally the second it comes out. I'm so excited for this one. Another one that seems pretty interesting, and the cover's so cool. The cover is so cool, this one. It's called You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. 3.72 rating with 358 ratings so far. And it's a thriller mystery adult. Our main character, Grace Evans, is an overworked New Yorker looking for a total escape from her busy life. She books an Airbnb on a ranch in the middle of Wyoming. She's pleasantly surprised to find that the owner is a handsome man by the name of Calvin, but there are things Grace discovers that she's not too pleased about: a lack of cell phone service, a missing woman, and a feeling that something isn't right with the town. This is another one that I'm really excited about. It sounds pretty up my alley according to thrillers, so like I said before, I'm going to be watching for that one a lot. There's so many good books coming out in April. The next one is called The Lake House. It is a young adult horror, and it is by Sarah Beth Durst. It has 98 ratings with a 3.71. This is another really cool cover. It's creepy. It is so creepy looking, but it's so cool. And we have our main character who is a bit paranoid. Her name is Claire, and she has grown up triple checking locks. And it's just weird how she's wired. Her worst case scenarios never actually come true until she arrives at an off-the-grid summer camp to find a blackened, burned husk instead of a lodge and no survivors, except her and two other late arrivals, Rava and Mariana. So, sounds good. Interested, as usual. Like I said, I tend to really like young adult horror better than adult horror, so any of the young adult horrors I'm very, very excited about. The next one coming out on April 25th is Morewood Family Rules by Helen K. Diamond. It has 222 ratings with a 3.55, and it says Knives Out and Ocean's 8 meet. It says a hilariously twisty novel by award-winning author Helen K. Diamond, about a woman who returns home from prison to her dysfunctional con artist family and tries to get them to go legit. That sounds fun. That sounds like a fun time. I hope this is a funny book. Definitely interested in this one. We got three left. The next one is called An Improbable Season by Rosalind Eves. It's a young adult historical fiction romance. 58 ratings, a 4.0 so far. And it's Regency London Bridgerton-esque stuff. I don't know if I have to say anything else. But we're following three main characters, Talia, Calliope, and Charis, are going to Regency London for their first season. They know exactly what they want. And yeah, they decide things they want and etc. Can these young women find their happily ever afters in this turbulent London season? Gonna pick it up. I just love everything that has to do with Regency stuff. The next one is a science fiction horror. And it sounds pretty cool. It's called Ascension by Nicholas Binge. It has a 4.31 with 130 ratings, and it says it's a mind-bending speculative thriller in which the sudden appearance of a mountain in the middle of the Pacific Ocean leads a group of scientists to a series of jaw-dropping revelations that challenge the notion of what it means to be human. That's all I'm going to say for that one, because that sounds like a definitely figure out what's going on as you read. So very interesting premise. I'm excited about that. And we are on to the very last release that I have on here for April. It is coming out April 25th. It is In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. I know a lot of people are really excited about this. It has 1,017 ratings with a 4.29 so far. It says this one is going to be author TJ Klune invites you deep into the heart of a peculiar forest and on the extraordinary journey of a family assembled from spare parts. And this has to do with like robots and machines and stuff like that. So it sounds interesting. I have not read a TJ Klune yet. Actually, I have the first book upstairs, The House in Cerulean Sea. I just keep putting it off because I know it's going to make me emotional to read. So, but I'm going to get there. Anyway, that's what I have for April. I hope you guys found some new books that you were excited about. Maybe you got interested in some that you had heard about, but you hadn't thought about them in a while. And yeah, make sure you let me know down below if I missed any. I would love to know because I'm always adding to my list of books that I want to read. And make sure you subscribe because we do this every month. It's going to happen next month again. So you got to make sure you subscribe so you don't miss these videos. And make sure you like the video. And that's all I've got for you. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I will see you in the next one.